Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BTB Movie Club podcast. My name is Brian Larson. We hope you enjoyed today's movie discussion. Thank you for listening.
Welcome to the BTB Movie Club, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tim Larson. I'm here with Ryan Malo and Aaron Lashbrook and Matt Smith. We believe we'll be joined by Mike Hilty. We are missing a couple of our few good men here today. We're here to discuss what I believe is movie number 250. We've been counting them as if this would be 249, but as I looked at my organization, I named two of those movies with the same number. So congrats on the anniversary, everybody. Here is movie number 250. Pop the champagne. This is A Few Good Men. We are still doing a run of movies that we don't know who picked it, and we'll take a guess at the end and find out who picked A Few Good Men. Matt Smith, you have missed here and there as life has been a little busy, so you missed the round where you would have led the conversation. So here's your golden moment, sir. Your shining moment. Please enjoy leading us in movie number 250, A Few Good Men.
All right. Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite movies of all time. So I'm happy to do it. Oh yeah, I see. 236.
So we know who picked it.
I sure did. Yep. I, Tanya, and As Good as It Gets are both
Yeah.
BTB movie number 236. It's going to be interesting to edit this podcast as we go through.
It would have been funnier if it would have been like Palm Springs or what was the other everything, all of the things all at once.
That would have been the time-bending ones.
Yeah, that would have been funnier. Anyway,
Well, while we're on that, I also can't find the recording for Palm Springs. I've been looking all day for that. So I'm organizationally, I'm just killing it today. Anyway,
all right. So the movie was A Few Good Men. I'm gonna be completely honest. I actually didn't watch it, but
I knew that was coming. It was going to be my first question.
But I basically have the stupid thing memorized because I watched it so many times in the 90s that it's just ingrained in my head. So I have remind me, I have a story about that at the end. I won't say it now, but okay. So we are 1992, I believe. A Few Good Men, all-star cast. I will start with Aaron Lashbrook. What do you got to say about A Few Good Men?
Also, it's I would say, like, especially with a recent view under my belt, I definitely say, oh God, it's got to be one of my favorites because I've watched it a million times. I forget the things I love about it. Just everybody remembers the court scene, but there's so much more to it, and it all makes sense, and it's all fairly, I'm going to say, very well laid out. I just hedged my bets with fairly because I don't know if anybody's going to come up with some, timeline plot holes or continuity issues that I just didn't notice. But yeah, the flow, and I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan, and I never have been. I remember liking like Risky Business when I was young, and what he's in The Outsiders too, right?
Yep.
So I think like those two, but after, I never got into the Mission Impossible movies, and that seems like that's been his whole career for the last 20 years. I know we've watched like either Vanilla
Minority
Sky
Report
or Eyes Wide Shut, which the Kubrick one.
Oh, that was Eyes Wide Shut.
Right.
Minority Report is in there somewhere, and that one's pretty good. But I agree with you, though. After a while, it's just like, come on.
And in Minority Report, because I do like that movie, that's one where, I don't know how great he is in it. I just think that's a phenomenal story.
Sure.
That the story of it really gets to me, and I don't know if you guys watched it in the group before I was in here or not, so spoiler alert or whatever. But
it was early.
Just the idea of, I remember watching that movie, and I know we're getting off track, but I have to bring it up because Tim brought it up. Because he's wanted for murder. And it's like, what is going to make a person kill somebody and then like the ending comes around and you're like, oh, that totally explains it. That's why you would murder somebody you never met because they kidnapped your son. Or, like I said, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, they make him think that this person killed the son, but just an amazing story. So, Minority Report's one of the other ones. But in this, I think he is really, really good in this. Demi Moore's fantastic in her And you can go back because, I do have military relatives who, as for great as this movie is, especially that since they were in the Marine Corps, um, think that it kind of sullies the message of the Marine Corps. Oh, it's just a, jarhead hating movie and blah, blah, blah. And I don't get that at all. I don't think it's disparaging to, it's all about um, not Markinson. What's Nicholson's characters?
Jessup.
Jessup,
Jessup.
Colonel Jessup.
It's all about him. He is, and it's even arguable a garbage person or not. But what he decides he is a god on Guantanamo Bay, and nobody questions what he says. And maybe the powers got to his head. So I don't see it as a military bashing movie at all. But like I said, the acting top to bottom. Now that I say that, there is one little one, and I just want to see if anybody else brings it up. That I don't know if that was the best acting or maybe the best actor for the situation. But like I said, I'm going to see if anybody else brings it up, and then I'll bring it up at the end if nobody does. But really liked it. Came out in '92. I was a senior, so right in my wheelhouse of like great movies. It was actually a great like movie. I don't know if it was particularly that year, but it was a pretty good 5-year window that like we just had a lot of good movies in the late '80s through the mid '90s.
Can I jump in on this?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you mind? Because I wrote this down and I was going to make this point. Um, uh, his name's escaping me. The director,
Rob
Reiner.
Rob Reiner.
Reiner.
This is his string of movies at this point. I mean, just him alone, he did this was Spinal Tap in '84. That's kind of his little coming out party as a director. Then he did a movie called The Sure Thing, which I've never seen, but it's got 7.0 on IMDb, so it seems like it's pretty good. 1986, Stand By Me. 1987, The Princess Bride. 1989, When Harry Met Sally. 1990, Misery, and 1992, A Few Good Men. Holy shit. This dude had a run. Man.
He's also Rob Reiner. He's I don't know, the term would be like Nepo baby now. Isn't his father famous?
Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
Carl Reiner. Yeah, I should have come up with that, but so I could see him probably getting some pretty good scripts put in front of him, yeah, I mean, as far as a director, I think, there's nothing taken away from him there. It was in his blood. So yeah, acting, story, that's all I'm going to go with right now. I'm going to chime in with other people. Solid pick. I'm glad you picked it, Matt. It's really good. I'll watch it anytime it's on. But I guess kind of the point of my story was if I hadn't seen it in a while, I don't think of it. Like when I'm thinking of my top 10 movies or my top, whatever movies. And I guess because it probably falls, it's not an action movie, it's not a comedy, it's not a love story. So it falls in that drama. And it's just, that's not like my go-to category, even though I love them when I watch them. If I can't think of something to watch, I'm usually going to go comedy. If Christy's around and she's in the mood for a movie, which she never is, I watch movies on my own most of the time, and then she'll come in and sit and watch them with me after I've started them and ask me questions. But
does she subscribe to the podcast?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Listen to me talk about movies? Are you kidding me?
She gets that at home. She doesn't need to listen to it.
She doesn't ask, unless they're on, and she needs to get caught up in the last 15 minutes. But no, I'm just kidding, hon. If you ever listen to these, but yeah, I love this movie, and it's just weird that on a random Tuesday, if you were to ask me what my top 10 movies were, I wouldn't even think of it, and I don't know what that is, but it's that's just how it is for me. That's it.
Yeah. So you mentioned the string of movies just in 1992, because I like to do research like this. Reservoir Dogs, Unforgiven,
Ooh.
Scent of a Woman, Batman Returns, Last of the Mohicans, Army of Darkness, My Cousin Vinny, Wayne's World, Basic Instinct, Malcolm X, Alien 3, A League of Their Own. That's
That's
probably
all 92.
that's
Yeah,
all
one year.
92. The Muppet Christmas
Wow.
Carol. Just throwing that in there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, 85 to 95, you know,
Great stuff.
is some kind
White
of
Ma-
golden era.
White Men Can't Jump is in there. Sorry, it's Candyman if you're into horror. The
It's
Mighty
the Pips.
Ducks,
It's Gladys and the Pips.
Sister Act. Yeah. So yeah, I think you're right. And I think we've talked about that before. There was a stretch in the 90s where it was just like, and maybe it's just our ages, because depending on, but yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm with you, Aaron. When people ask me what my favorite movies are, this never comes to mind. You're absolutely correct. I didn't even think about it till you said it. Like, yeah, you're right.
It's like a black hole.
Why do I never think of this movie? It is. I could literally watch this movie on repeat and I probably wouldn't get bored. So that's funny. So, all right, Ryan Malo, what you got, buddy?
Um, a little traffic is what I got. But yeah, uh, I'm trying to think. I can't remember why I watched this not too long ago. I've seen this, I don't know, 10 plus times, something like that. But it had been maybe 15 years or something like that. And then I had watched it, I don't know, less than a year ago. Maybe it was just on, but I don't really like channel flip or anything, so I don't know. But at any rate, um, yeah, it's obviously very solid movie. I like it a lot. I don't know that I would put it in a top 10 for me specifically. I always forget that it was Reiner, and it's funny to hear that list of movies. When Harry Met Sally, that one for sure, Princess Bride. So I always think more, I don't know, cutesy, funny type thing. I totally forgot a Misery until you said it again. Yeah, he's got a really, um, broad and deep body of work there, and so it's pretty cool. I also always forget that this is a Aaron Sorkin play,
Mm-hmm.
and having seen that, I really was able to, envision that a lot more. There's, you've got three main set pieces between Guantanamo Bay, the apartment, and the courtroom. There's a couple other things, but it makes sense. Um, I missed last week, unfortunately, and there was something in this and in Say Anything that I'd never thought of. Another movie that I've seen a million times and just hadn't thought of. I guess kind of analytically or story wise, but in that movie, it was like I remember it very much from Lloyd's point of view the whole time, and it wasn't. It alternated, and then at one point even went fully with the dad. And this kind of did some of that as well, where like I always remember it fully from the lawyer point of view and what they're discovering and all of that. And there's a scene very early on where it goes back in time and we see actually what happened. About it didn't actually say the code red, but that they were not transferring him. And that I just think that's a really interesting choice. That I don't know if you had told me that, or if I was consulting Aaron Sorkin in '83 or whenever he wrote this, I would have said that's a bad choice. Like let the audience discover as the lawyers discover. And I still don't know that that's wrong, but it works obviously. But I think it's kind of I think it's kind of strange that we know he's lying already. So why they made that choice, not quite sure. It's in some ways it's a product of its time. I put 90s cutesyisms. It just I always think of like Friends and that where like some when people are a little more clever than their own good, or that is completely realistic. Like it works. I'm fine with it, but it's definitely there, that style. Let's see.
Are you kind of talking about where Kathy has like a smart ass answer to everything and
Yeah, he's a fucking douche, and but he's the guy we're supposed to like. And then there's moments where he does have that. And I think that is kind of the struggle where it's him growing up and really becoming the man that his father would be proud of and not being that douchey guy.
And just because I interrupted, but I think it's great. I didn't know any of the stuff that it was a play before, written as a play. And I've heard this said about it's kind of like in music, clapping on the 2 and 4 or the 1 and 3, and like certain people hate certain groups of melanin challenge people for clapping on the wrong ones. I don't know what the 1 and 3 or the 2 and 4 is. I don't, so if somebody starts, I'll just keep going, and I will keep the same too on like, basketball games or whatever, and predominantly white schools that I've taught at where they can't even keep that. And but so are most plays, don't get mad, are most plays 3 acts? Is that a thing? Like, or 4 acts, or is there 5 acts? Okay. So what you had said, how it's predominant, like I never thought of it. The 3, there's Guantanamo Bay, there's the apartment, and there's the courtroom. I was like, oh my God, that is totally set up to be a play,
Well, there's just logistics as far as you only have so much space, or you can't, unless you have some a lot of money where you can do some kind of rotating stage, or do some,
it totally makes sense. Like I've been like to high school plays, and they just have to make the changes, and it's really innovative how they turn things around and sides open up and stuff like that. That's always awesome. But like I don't even know, like you said, 5. That wouldn't even have been my 4th guess of how many acts are in a play. But
I don't know how universal, but most Shakespeare's are typically 5
okay
acts.
Good to know. I love this fucking group.
Here to help, buddy. Let's see. Here's a weird question. I didn't serve at all. I have some family members, but I've never asked this. Do they get extra medals for different uniforms, or do they have to switch those all the time?
I imagine they have
I don't know.
switch them, or they just leave them on the same one. Maybe they don't,
I would think so too. But then would they, every time, like he was in the whites, or then he was in the courtroom uniform, and
you've got bars. The pins are bars, and then the ribbons are all a row, and you just slide it on. So,
okay. But you like,
so you probably have multiple sets of.
Probably got multiple sets of pins, and then you pull the bars off and slide them onto the uniform you're going to wear. I believe from what my brother-in-law.
Just a weird thing that obviously meant nothing to the story at all, but totally distracted me for a moment. I saw Christopher Guest's name in the credits, and I couldn't remember at all who he was or where he showed up, and he was the doctor. But man, just a crazy cast. I mean, Cuba Gooding Jr. gets a little cameo, and Noah Wiley, and like just all these really solid actors.
Josh Molina pre West Wing days.
We'll go back to the Rob Reiner connection for the Christopher Guest thing.
Yes.
I mean, this is Spinal Tap, and then he gets this role here. And talk about a range and depth. I mean, that guy is a chameleon. What a great actor.
Yeah. 6-fingered man. I also Kiefer Sutherland does really, really well in this. It's not that he's ever a bad actor, but this is kind of pushing the boundary for a lot of what he typically does, and he's fantastic. I don't know. This might have been one of the first times that this ever, I don't know. I always pictured opposing counsel hating each other, and that just made sense. But they end up, more often than not, they're at least cordial, or if not friends, because that is their coworker, whether the case is different and all that stuff. So that's always, I don't know, or at least not anymore. But that was a weird thing for me to get my head around when I was a lot younger. But it was good to see that here. In a lot of different ways where they're negotiating, like there's different layers to it, right? So they are still competing even when they're outside in the negotiations and that, but then certain things like he's, warning him that, hey man, if you're going with this where I think you're going to go with this, that could be a real problem for you. I have to tell you that. I also thought it was strange that the I guess the defense attorney. No, prosecutor, because he was the defense. It got flipped, but that he was also kind of the bailiff, like swearing him in and then reading his rights at the end when he was under arrest. It was a weird dynamic. Couple more things.
The lawyer dynamic that you were just talking about, that kind of came up in Say Anything, when the dad is going to prison and you got the two lawyers sitting in an office and it looks like they share the office. They're there so much.
Yeah.
And he's like, they just got stacks of paper. And he's like, 4 years, no, 8 months, yeah, I can push that past my boss. It's just like they got to work together because, they don't want to spend years and years in trial. But it was weird. It was in two different movies.
Well, and especially the plea bargain stuff, like it's just so, I don't know, laissez-faire or whatever, where it's just,
especially the way Caffey acted about it
Right.
at the start. He's like,
Right.
I'd have got you 4 months or, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
and
because
that's
he
a
never
great
went to
thing.
trial. He just always
There's
made a
like-
deal.
Steak knives.
2
Yeah.
years out in 6 months. But then the whole point is like, okay, then what? Then I forever am the guy who was dishonorably discharged and all that. I forgot about the whole Markinson storyline. But yeah, I'm like, how does a military person, I'm an idiot for writing military person, but how does someone go missing? Like, was he AWOL? But I don't know. Like that was, I didn't know if they wanted him to. Like that part was a little bit lost on me. But then when he showed up again, I guess it was a little weird too. Like he showed up again to help, but then when it got to the point where he really could have helped, he took the coward's way out. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I didn't wrap this up with anything. I enjoy it a lot. It's it's clever. It's exciting to see how they get there and how he does what he said he's going to do and play on the ego and use that against Nicholson. Nicholson obviously is fantastic. I mean, you believe that guy, he's not wrong in some of the stuff that he talks about, which makes sense, right? Like Cruz, Caffey says that he's like, in the regular world, people don't think about following orders, and even here, it means not that much more. But these guys, if you're not wearing camouflage, you can be shot at. Like that. It has a whole other level of seriousness to it. And so, in some ways, obviously, Jessup is correct, but he clearly long ago went past the line between where that's appropriate or where you have to justify things. So yeah, good pick. I don't know if we're guessing now like Aaron did, but I'll hold it. But yeah, I'm good for now. Go ahead.
So I'm sorry, Ryan. Did you say you have seen the play?
No, I've not seen
Oh,
the play.
okay.
I said I forget
That it was a play.
that it
Yeah.
was a play.
I
Oh,
was
and Sorkin has a cameo in here, by the way. I looked that up.
Yeah, he's like in the bar, right?
Yep.
Or something.
Yep.
I was just wondering because you had talked about the, going back in time and showing the audience instead of letting them. I just wondered because of plays you usually can't do stuff like that unless you kind of start off with it. I guess you could, but it's a little tougher. So I just wondered if in the play they kind of let you discover with the lawyers.
I wondered that as well, and especially if they didn't in the play, why do that in here?
Right. Well, it sounds
yeah,
like there was
I
a
mean-
lot of rewrites requested. Like, the logbook was supposed to be the only evidence they needed, but Rob Reiner told Sorkin, no, he's got to win it as the lawyer. Like the lawyer has to win, not the just stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm sure it was for dramatic effect, whatever they decided to do. Interesting. All right. Mike Hilty's here, by the way, just so everybody knows.
Hey, Mike Hilty, how you doing?
I'm Mike Hilty.
Hello. How's it
Well,
going?
Good to see you, buddy.
It's good.
Good. Thank you for asking.
I'm gonna let Tim go though.
All right. I last night rewatched this movie a little later than I probably should have into the drinking phase. So I wrote a good 7 pages of notes, and in just looking at the notes, I realized that early on, some of them are, there's some thought behind them and perhaps even poignant. And at the end, it's just, I'm just writing things down just to write them. So the quality of the notes get worse as the bottle of wine turned into a second beer. Okay, so snapshot. I think the cast is unbelievable. I agree with whoever said earlier. Rob Reiner comes from Carl Reiner, so I think Aaron was talking about this, so there's already some connections there. Probably helps to get a good cast, but there's a lot of really good actors here. Some of them are young and go on to big careers afterward, right? But I think they all nailed it, and we can call that talent from the actor or great directing. I don't know, but they get some really good performances here. I think the plot and the lawsuit stuff. Love a good lawyer movie. And so a good lawyer movie, a courtroom movie has to have a good courtroom drama, well thought out legal process. And I think this kills it. I think it's really, really good. Music. I think the music is horrible as far as quality of the music. Like you can tell, ooh, this is early 80s stuff. There's a lot of processed stuff going on here. But even though I don't like the quality of the music, I think the tone that it sets is perfect in this movie. It does a real good job of setting the mood of the seriousness of the trial, the courtroom, or going into the apartment. Um, and then there's some interesting, most of it is score stuff, right?
Yeah.
But when he's in the car and he's going to trade all of those cliches with Luther, that's when we get some blues, which is interesting. Um, the two songs. The first one is the original Hound Dog song. That's the first time we meet Luther and they're trading cliches. Uh, Background to that, that's the reason why Sun Studio lost Elvis was because they had Elvis do a version of that song, and then they had somebody else do a song that I don't remember what it was, but Hound Dog was sung from a female perspective, and then Sun Studio just totally ripped off the song from the male perspective, got sued, and lost Elvis's contract. So there's some historical perspective there. But the second song, see if I can find it. Um, it's by somebody named James Cotton, and it's called "Next Time You See Me." And this is right before Markinson gets in the car behind him, and you don't get to hear all of "Next Time You See Me," but I listened to it because I knew Hound Dog really well, and I was like, let me listen to this. The chorus to that song that's not in the movie says, "You lied, you cheated." It's got a whole bunch of stuff that fits the actual plot here with Jessup telling the lies and trying to get away with it. So I thought the music choices were interesting. And then the cinematography is, I don't think it's anything that blows you away, but it looks great. Like the scenes in the court look great. The close-ups look great. There's some scenery things transitioning from scene to scene that it just, I think the movie isn't just great. It looks great. I think the Oscar performance is totally worthy. I know he doesn't get a lot of screen time, but what he gets out of the 14 minutes or whatever he's in this movie is pretty amazing. And I wrote down in my notes somewhere here, he is so much more intense in this movie even than when he plays the Joker. And I know the Joker is, it's what's his name is the director. I can't remember
Tim
that name.
Burton.
Thank you,
Burton.
Tim Burton. And so it's a little lighthearted anyway for a Batman movie. I mean, it's got dark colors, but it's a little goofy. So he wasn't really asked to be that intense. But if you think about Nicholson's career, I don't know of another movie where he's this intense. And I mean, he really like he looks like he's pretty pissed the whole time he's talking, and I kind of enjoy that. Okay, so the the first thing I have circled here when he says they're at the lunch. The first time that they go to in the white outfits when they go to lunch in Cuba, I love the Santiago was set to be transferred. Like Danny says it a second time, and this is what Mela was talking about. Now we know that it's a lie. Like we just found this out. But the thing is, in that scene, you see Markinson kind of shifting his eyes, and you see Danny asking the question a second time. So they're playing chess across the table. You see Joe is an idiot, so she starts asking the questions that Danny doesn't want her to ask. And you see Jessup selling this lie like he doesn't even have a problem selling it, making eye contact, smoking his cigar, and you get to see the personalities more than the plot right there. And I think that's a great scene for that. These are early on in the notes, where I actually had the ability to put a little thought. The smoking the cigar is great. He finishes line with that cigar as like an exclamation point on his sentences, much like in As Good as It Gets, he would fuck around with his sunglasses. He would finish a line and then put his sunglasses on. So it's like a physical thing that I don't know if Nicholson always does, but it just kind of was a throwback for me there. Got that. The Danny taking the case, like he stays up all night and thinks about it, and he takes the case. I had a note about this. Like he takes it because he realizes he's been pigeonholed. He's known for the set of steak knives mentality here. So does he believe in his clients, or is he taking this case to kind of hunt down the manipulation happening at a higher level? And the lie that he's like, I think there's something here that I want to scratch at. So I don't know if he takes this case for his clients or to try and take down the big manipulation. But my question was, who's manipulating the situation? Like, it's not Jessup. Jessup didn't make a call and say, I want this guy to do it. Like, somebody else is a middleman there, and we never get to know who that is. So that's an interesting thing for me. I wrote down, you could tell I'm starting to enjoy the beer. I wrote Kevin Bacon's hair looks like a Lego head. That was pretty good. I wrote, I want to hear Corporal Raymond Thomas. When the first guy comes up and says, we had a meeting and Kendrick told us not to touch him, and then he's going to call all of them, and Danny says, objection, they're all going to say the same thing. Let's just call this a day. The next guy was Corporal Raymond Thomas, and that was the name of the father of my first girlfriend. And I needed to write that down in the notes at that point, and I just needed to say that here in this podcast. Can't prove coercion is a really funny thing for our friend Dentino that used to be in this group with us. He and I would argue over this movie, and he said to me at one point, trying to quote the movie, "You can't prove collusion." And I was like, "That's not the line. That's definitely not the line." He's like, "That's the line." I said, "You can't prove coercion," and he was so. It's like when Brian's 98% sure, it was like that kind of thing. So we actually brought in a TV, and back in the day, remember you had the TV on the cart with the wheels that would come into your room. I brought the VHS in, and we fast forwarded to get to it, and it was a beautiful moment. Strenuously object. We have to talk about that line. I mean, we can't get through this without talking about that line. It's just so good. Once again, Joe just angry all the time, thinking, I got to do this. And Danny has a plan in his head. He's setting traps and waiting for somebody to fall in him. And she's just on the attack all the time. And it's a flaw. It's a flaw in that character. And I think they do a good job of making it come forward.
And I think they do a good job of making Pollock's character the one that chastises her. Because he actually seems like he knows trial. And this gets back to, I was going to interject earlier where you were saying, somebody's pulling strings. I think it's like the whole Washington, D.C. system. Like, Caffey was given the case because he was going to settle it without a trial. He was going to come up with something amicable on all sides, and no questions would ever really be asked about the whole thing. So I think you're right there. Like, this whole thing was never supposed to happen. He was supposed to take it and then, do his, chucking in, whatever. I don't want to say that. Working both sides, coming out with something everybody can live with, and, everybody would go on their way, and not Markinson, I keep doing that. Jessup would still have his fast track to whatever he was going to be at the Pentagon.
Yeah. So maybe like you guys were saying, there's the prosecutor and the defense lawyer just sitting in an office together talking about stuff. Maybe at the higher level, they do that as well. Maybe that's kind of the thing. Like, okay,
Mhm.
this is terrible. This guy died, but we got to wrap this up and move on. Like maybe
Right.
there isn't a conspiracy there. There's just that's the machine, right?
But it's almost like a small one. The Demi Moore was never seen as going to be a co-counsel,
Hmm.
because she, talked to Mima back in Poughkeepsie or whatever it was. So she wedged herself in, and then Pollock actually knowing trial law, I think he was an outlier that like the powers that be, they
Yeah.
didn't see this team of three actually working out for something.
Yeah.
I
He's
don't know.
great in this movie too. I have no responsibilities here whatsoever is a great line. I wrote down I would like to live every day like how Daniel Caffey questions Kendrick on the stand. I would just like to be able to do that every day. Um, Great quote. You were sick the day they taught law school. It's a great scene when he starts out. He's drunk and she's already stormed out, and he starts out with, "Is your father proud of you?" You just know that scene's gonna be good. Like you're just like, all right, let's turn it up and just get comfortable. This is gonna be some good stuff. Oh, when they're going in and Jessup's about to start and they're walking in together, and Joe for some reason tells him to back off, which is not consistent with her character. And she's warning him stuff. She's like, "I'm internal affairs. I'm just letting you know." Like he already knows that, Like Kevin Bacon already told him that stuff. So that was kind of an odd thing. But she says, "Don't go for it if you're not going to get him." And I was wondering, like, the note I wrote here was, how often does that happen in a actual lawsuit? Like in court. How often is somebody pushing something and going, "All right, if I can get him to say it, I'm going to do this, but if I can't, I got to back off." I'd really like to know from lawyers, like, is that part of your job? Because that would make the job seem a little more exciting to me. I think by the time you get to the court, they probably have everything mapped out. Um,
But I think this is another thing where they're all in the military. So if he accuses a superior officer, like
mhm.
there's different consequences for him than a lawyer accusing a sheriff of,
Yeah.
Right.
someplace.
I did read up on that. Somebody said that's silly because he works for he like works for the law division of the military. So if a crime was committed, he has every right to
Yeah.
accuse someone of it. I feel like it was supposed to be more like this dude has a lot of power, so if you accuse him,
Yes.
you're going down. I
Yeah.
don't think it was like a crime thing. I think it was more like you are signing your death sentence if you mess with this guy.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll get to the last couple here. I've been going for a while. The maybe he's an early riser. Um, I don't know why. Like that defense was slick, cold-hearted, and outstanding, and a real good example of gaslighting. Yeah, because he's smiling. Like he asked the question, he smiles, and then he goes, "Is this funny?" And then all of a sudden he gets a lecture, like, "Oh, don't point out that I think it's funny. You need me on that wall." Like
Yeah.
that's when he jumps all over him.
Yeah, but
But
the phone calls and foot lockers, I hope you brought me here for something better than
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's fucking great lines.
yeah.
Hmm.
Oh God, the screenplay at that point is outstanding. I wrote down, getting to the end here. I love that Jack Nicholson just talks right through the Miranda rights. Like he's just like, "This doesn't affect me. I'm bigger than this." And then you're gonna like a crime. What are you guys talking about? It's just great stuff. Then I have a question. Would you find the two guys guilty of conduct unbecoming? Like there is a big sort of philosophical question going on here. The Nuremberg Nazi trial stuff is like what's going on here, and in present day, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but we have ICE people, you know, going up to U.S. citizens and physically assaulting them. What's going to happen there? Is that going to turn into some kind of lawsuit that's similar to this and similar to that? This actually gets at a pretty good question. If you're ordered to do something, is it okay or not okay that you do it? I do like that there is a basic human question going on in this movie, and I don't need an answer to that, by the way. I just like that it's got something in there that has some real relevance to major life things. So those are the notes I wrote. I love this movie. We could pick apart some things like Joe's character wavers every now and then. she's like real mad all the time, and then all of a sudden she needs Danny. He's the best lawyer ever when he hasn't even done anything yet. She's the one that waffles a bit for me, but I'm picking at something that's a really, really good movie. So I'm that would take me down from a 5 to a 4.8 or 4.9. I mean, this is a really, really great movie. So nice pick, Aaron.
I've already picked two. You know, I'm out. My sack's empty.
I know, I know. I just your hair looks so nice today that I just
Yes.
really want to.
Anyway, Melo, I thought you were going to jump in with something.
Yeah, I was just writing a note. Well, because Tim asked the question about the conduct on becoming, and I think they kind of answer it twice. One directly, like at the end, I can't remember his name. Who's the
Harold.
Hal.
Harold? Yeah, or yeah, but he says like he takes ownership, because the other guy he's like, this is crap. Because if they're not guilty of the other stuff or the other charges because they were just following orders, how do you then count them guilty for that? Because it's kind of the same thing. So as you were asking that, yeah, I was thinking about it, but then I think that's kind of why they have that scene there as well at the end with the taking ownership for it. And the second part, he had a track record, small, I guess, for not following orders,
Right.
because of the human side of things, right? Where he was sneaking the guy food.
The Curtis Bell incident.
Yes, there you go.
And I think it all goes together. And I think it's kind of one of the reasons it's so great is because one, Santiago wasn't supposed to die. Like nobody sent them in there to kill him.
Right.
They were supposed to beat him up, but
and nobody's happy about him dying either. Like
right,
it's
the
just
sock went too far down his throat,
yeah.
and he had the acidosis or whatever. So one, he wasn't supposed to. Like they didn't try to kill him. And it does suck that it happens in the movie. But yeah, Hal saying, we were supposed to stick up for guys like Willie. But also he had the other thing. So he had to step up because I think he, loved the Corps, wanted to be in the Corps, wanted the respect of not Kevin Bacon, but
Kendrick.
Kiefer Sutherland's character.
Lieutenant Kendrick, yep.
Yeah. So yeah, he wasn't gonna screw up again. He was gonna, beat this guy up a little bit. But yeah, I have no problem with the acquittal of murder because you didn't murder the guy. You didn't mean to. You didn't go in there with intent. And you legitimately, I believe, feel bad about it. But also being guilty of conduct unbecoming, a Marine. So I have no problem with how the ruling came out and, how that all worked out. Either way. So I don't know. I just want to talk.
That's all I have to say about that.
All right.
As Forrest Gump would say.
Yeah, you're the quote about missing the day at law school that they taught law is that's one of my favorite scenes in that whole movie. When he just goes crazy and should we or should we not follow the advice of the galactically stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good scene. Anyway, Hilty, Mike Hilty, your turn. Few Good Men. Why'd you pick it?
Well, I wanted to pick something that had some type of, influence from a play. So I figured this would be a good one. It's a good conversation piece as well. And I do have a fun story about this. So I write for a website called sifpop.com, and they do mainly movie reviews, but it's kind of where I started doing TV reviews as well. And the writing prompts that they gave me was, what is the best courtroom drama? And write like 200 words about that. I'm like, okay. So I did that. I wrote 200 words. I sent it to them. And they said, you really wrote about Liar Liar, huh? Like, yep, sure did. And they were like, why? I was like, because I figure everybody writes about A Few Good Men. which is my favorite one. I needed to stand out somehow. And he was like, yeah, everybody writes about A Few Good Men, which rightfully so, because it is one of the best courtroom dramas out there. Um, there was a list, AFI, the American Film Institute. They made a list of their top 10 courtroom dramas. Anyone want to guess what number it is on the list?
Top 10. This has got to be because there's some old movies that are really, really good. So somewhere just below five or six.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 5.
What'd you say, Melo? Did you hold up 4 or 5? I'm going 4 with Melo.
Okay. It's number 5 right on the dot. So your top 10, Judgment at Nuremberg. Number 9, A Cry in the City. Number 8, In Cold Blood. Number 8, Anatomy of a Murder. Number 6, Witness for the Prosecution. Number 5, A Few Good Men. Number 4, The Verdict. Number 3, Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh,
Number 2, 12 Angry Men.
12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
And number 1, anybody?
Liar,
I
liar.
was going to go 12 Angry Men. Liar, liar.
Me too.
Pelican Brief. I don't know.
Rainmaker.
I'm probably
You
going to be
said
mad
Kramer
when you say
versus
it. I
Kramer?
can't think of one.
Kramer versus
He did.
Kramer is number 3. Here I am giving everyone the trivia now. Now you know how it feels. To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh.
Miracle on
Yeah.
34th Street.
No, My Cousin Vinny, no.
Oh yeah.
None of that crap. But so a couple things to note about this. Just Aaron Sorkin, can't say enough about him. It's kind of incredible what he can do with a script, because Tim, you mentioned that, like, hey, it's either great acting or great directing. It's like, nope, it's the script.
Yeah.
In this case, it's all script.
That's fair.
Not to say that the acting isn't phenomenal, because it is absolutely phenomenal. Everybody is on their A game here. It's kind of incredible how amazing everyone is. For Tom Cruise to be able to go toe to toe with, one of the best to ever do it, Jack Nicholson, is just phenomenal.
Yep.
Good for him. The directing is good. I would say it's solid. Rob Reiner, just at this time, just on a murderer's row of just good movie after good movie. It's kind of embarrassing the amount of talent that's in this movie in particular. Because you don't get that very often. It's like, oh, a great screenwriter. Oh, a great director. Oh, everybody's acting their asses off. This is awesome. But it's hard to pick a standout other than Jack Nicholson. There's a reason why he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He lost to Gene Hackman in Unforgiven, which Gene Hackman absolutely deserved it for that role. But fun fact, Gene Hackman was the studio's first choice to play Colonel Jessup. And just imagine how much different that would have been. Lots more shouting, and it's very easy to get Gene Hackman very angry.
Yeah.
So I when I read about that, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. The plot and the story feels a tad bit predictable, but not so predictable to where I thought it detracted from the overall story. I thought the story, there were enough twists and turns in here. Sorkin said that he did write. This is kind of based on kind of a true incident where 9 Marines did beat someone up at Guantanamo Bay, but he didn't die. So whatever, right? Who cares if he doesn't die? It's just part of being in the Marines, right? But I think one thing that this movie does really well is just take a shining light to these institutions. like two institutions in particular, the military and the law, and how the relationship between them is not always, it doesn't always mesh together at all. And how the idea of safety and security will trump anybody's conception of, empathy sometimes, or compassion, or more importantly, just other people's rights and well-being. So I really always find that interesting about watching this movie, is just seeing the conversation that this has between the law and the military. The Department of Defense refused to endorse this movie because they're like, no, we're good. So all the stuff that they shot for this movie was on a soundstage in California. They wouldn't let the crew use any military institutions for this. I did read that there was an executive who was wondering, why does Demi Moore's character need to be a woman? It's like, why, like, what's up with that? And Aaron Sorkin was like, believe it or not, there are other things that women can do besides. The other thing that the unnamed executive suggested was, like, in the original draft, or like in the studio notes, they were wondering if Tom Cruise and Demi Moore's character were going to have sex. Like, is this something that we should put in the movie just to spice it up a little bit? And Aaron Sorkin was like, no. Like, why? Why would this juice up the plot at all, besides putting butts in seats and proving that the 90s were, horribly sexist in a lot of ways? But I'm glad that Sorkin stuck to his guns, because if that would have happened, it's not plot relevant. It would make no sense. And I don't know, from a military perspective, wouldn't it feel a little icky as well? It's like, I don't know, this feels weird. But Sorkin responded to that unnamed executive who was like, how come there's no sex scene between Tom Cruise and Demi Moore, and why does Demi Moore's character need to be a woman? He replied, women can do other things besides have sex. So I think I'm just going to keep it like this. No problem.
Would have been awesome if he would have been like, all right, you know what? Demi Moore's character doesn't have to be a woman, so it's going to be a guy, and now they're going to have sex.
Wow.
You want it? You got it.
Yeah.
That would have taken a hard right turn for a don't ask, don't tell military during that time. So it would have been really, really funny. I mean, I feel like the courtroom scenes are all really well shot, and they're all, just, again, it's the snappy dialogue that does it there. I can imagine that there's plenty of courts out there that, if you were to go to a lot of courts and be like, is this what court is normally like? Most judges are like, no, not at all. I'm dealing with drunk people and people who don't know what they're talking about, and people who don't understand that they broke the law, because, people are idiots and they don't understand, basic things like reading up on statutes and such. But for me, it's just the dialogue. It's very, like, you could tell that it's Sorkin because of the quick back and forths. We even get our convenient walk and talk, which Sorkin is amazing at.
The birth of the walk and talk.
The birth of the walk and talk, and the perfectionist of the of the walk and talk as well. Because this was Sorkin's first movie. This is his first Broadway play. This will go down as an all-timer for acting, for a script, adaptations from a play to the screen. This is how you do it right, by keeping those involved with the play involved with the movie as well. I realized that most plays are not that, or plays or musicals, they're not that lucky to have somebody who wrote or who was involved in the play or musical piece coming to the screen. But in those rare cases that it does happen, you could tell because there just seems to be a little bit more zip with it. So pretty big hit at the box office, only cost $41 million to make, which feels like a steal with all of the people who performed in this, and it made like about $240 million worldwide. So for 1992, that's actually really, really good, and especially for a R-rated courtroom drama
Mhm.
with no sex and only one woman. Ew. So so good pick me. SL5. Yeah. This is
Yeah,
good.
way to go.
Oh, mhm.
All right. Yeah, I was going to talk about the birth of the walk and talk. It's when I love Aaron Sorkin. I like The West Wing and Sports Night, good stuff. So I love the walk and talk. Um, all right. Yeah. So like I said in the beginning, this is one of my favorite movies ever. And to Aaron's point, it's funny because I never think of it when people ask me that question.
Yeah.
But then I was looking, so it was nominated for Best Picture and Best Supporting Actor for Jack Nicholson, funny enough, for his whatever 25 minutes of screen time or 20 minutes of screen time. But it was I think I don't have it up in front of me right now, but I'm pretty sure it was the only Best Picture not to have a nomination for Best Director or Best Writing or Best Lead Actor or Actress.
That is incredibly rare
So
for that to happen.
so part of me thinks the Academy also has that problem, Aaron. Like, yeah, this is a really great movie, but we have no idea why. We just, like, no great writing, no great directing, no great acting other than Jack Nicholson. So,
I think the Academy has proved that time and time again that they have no idea what makes a movie great.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
So, love the quotes in this movie. Actually, what's funny is the one that makes me giggle the most is when he's talking to Joe and he misses the ball on purpose and just goes, "We need the practice."
Yeah.
I love it. I love that he just quips, to whoever made that point. Like it's almost too witty. I think that was Malo. Like it's almost too, 90s witty. Who knows? But
Well, then even that's not funny. He's like, it's a little funny.
it's a little funny. Yeah.
Like,
It is a little
Nobody's
funny.
that good. Nobody's
Yeah.
that good.
Um, what else was I going to say? Yeah, so I was going to tell a story. So when this movie came out on VHS, so 93 probably, I'd have to guess, I don't know. I watched it all the time and I had this Fisher Price, I think it was Fisher Price, like this red, put the tape in, you could record or play off of it kind of thing. And I recorded that courtroom scene, his speech, Jessup's speech on like a tape. And then I would go in my room and I had headphones I could go in and I would just listen to it over and over again. And at one point I had the whole thing memorized, like word for word. Um, I don't know how old I was. I must have been like 12. And
How
and
good were
so
you? Like, you want me on that wall.
yeah,
You
I
need
could
me on that wall.
I could do it. Who's gonna do it? You, Lieutenant Weinberg. That's like the weirdest line in the whole thing is like you, Lieutenant Weinberg. Like, why did he do that? What did Weinberg do to him? Oh, by the way, how different is this movie if they get Jason Alexander for Weinberg? Because that's who they wanted. That's who originally was up for it. But then he got re-signed to do Seinfeld, so he said no.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know. I feel like Pollock is better.
He's great.
I mean, we can
I
say
like
that.
Pollock better. I don't think it would be that different.
Right.
Really?
That's exactly. I was gonna say.
Right.
I could see it. It wouldn't change. Um, just like I don't know how much Gene Hackman would change being um
Jessup, Colonel
Jessup
Jessup.
or Jessup. Colonel
Physicality,
Jessup.
maybe, especially when he comes at like because I
The
don't know. Gene
face.
Hackman was like 6'4".
His stature might actually give him more
Yeah.
credence or credibility. I don't
But
know.
it's like you guys said, it's certainly not hard to imagine Gene Hackman yelling those lines. You want me
Right,
on that wall. It would, yeah, it would. That's his
Yeah.
wheelhouse.
But a lot more yelling. That's what you were kind of talking about, whoever brought it up, because like he's an angry person or seems angry.
Yeah.
Where Jack Nicholson played it more like he was super calm
He was
right up until he lost.
smarmy. He was like smarmy, you know?
Yeah.
Calculating.
Yeah. I can't imagine just watching like George. Just George is there. Like that's all I would be able to see.
I
I
could
don't
see
know.
the I have no responsibility here whatsoever line,
Yeah.
but I couldn't see him doing like the why do you
But in
like them so
90
much?
in
Like
92 he wasn't George. Like
yeah,
you didn't
Yeah.
He was
have
the bad guy in Pretty Woman.
yeah.
right. You know,
Yeah.
I think he would have done a pretty good job. I like,
Halo, I think the
Kevin
bad
Pollak's
guy
way
in
better.
Pretty Woman is society for their views of sex workers at the time. So nice try there.
All right, fine. Defend the rapist. All right.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
I wasn't gonna say
oh,
it, but
we here at the
Ryan went
BTB
right
Movie
there.
Club do not okay.
Yeah, just like he really does think better with that bat, just like
Yeah.
just one-liners, really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then obviously the courtroom scene. Is it 20 minutes long, really? I read 21 minutes long. Is it really that? It doesn't feel that long. Like
Well, and I've brought this like kind of Tim talks about the music and like it seems like especially when I started I was like I got to stop talking about pacing and like it just seemed like that this does not seem like a 2 hour and 20-minute movie.
It's
No.
Like this
tense.
flies by.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
You
so
know.
tense. It
So
grabs
when you're
you.
saying the
Yes.
courtroom's 20 minutes, no, it does not feel like it,
It
but I
doesn't
would
feel
believe
like
it is.
Not if you watched it on Philo, and it was like a 3 hour and 40-minute movie.
How many
I was
commercials did you have to
Oh
watch?
my gosh, dude. I was at least an hour and a half in because they do the thing where they front load it, right? And then, and then all of a sudden it's a bunch of
They
commercials.
get you invested.
And yeah, and it was like what's that called? Uh sunk cost or what,
Yeah.
like I was already this far in. I'm not
Sunk
gonna
cost
buy the damn
fallacy,
thing
yeah.
now, but I 100% would have if I knew. Man, I should have easily would have been worth
I
15
paid
bucks.
for the movie. I
Yeah.
bought it.
Yeah.
I didn't want
Ugh.
to deal with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my bad.
Uh, um, yeah, so the quotes, the actors, obviously, um, and just the speech at the end, and I think I think it's easy to give Tom Cruise a lot of crap. He's done a lot of stuff, but this is a pretty solid performance. He plays kind of the young, cocky lawyer really well because we don't know how far off we are from that anyway, but like the young, cocky guy. But he does like seem to grow. He does show growth in the movie, which is like you know that's what you want, right? You want character development, and not many other characters develop in the movie. He's the only one, so so it is good to see that a character develop because even Joe didn't really. I mean, she had nowhere to go, and Sam obviously he didn't really need to grow. Jessup
Yeah.
didn't learn his lesson, right? He admitted to everything anyway. He didn't care, so. And then JT Walsh, I really like JT Walsh, and he plays this part like spectacularly. Um, uh, I agree he took the coward's way out, but um, yeah. And then you asked the question, I think Tim, like, if the orders are wrong, do you follow orders? And I'm always kind of like, no, absolutely not. However, I also understand. I understand two Marines who have been indoctrinated with that, or they have to, right? You have to follow orders or people die. I mean,
Well,
that's what
in
justice
that
is.
And
scenario,
especially when the orders are rough a kid up who's a screw up.
Right. Right. So
The orders weren't go kill him.
Right.
but I mean, there's this. If they don't follow that order, it's coming to them. I mean, there's
Right.
that.
Right.
There's that. By the
Right,
way,
and-
nobody brought this up. How the hell did William T. Santiago get in the Marines in the first place? This he's unhealthy. He can't run. He asks everybody to get out of there. Doesn't
Shut
meet
up,
with other
nerd.
people. He's okay.
But
No.
fair point.
These are
Thank
all good
you.
points.
How does Noah Wiley's character outrank Dawson and still be afraid of him? I don't know. Nobody knows. It's just the magic of Hollywood.
Nobody knows. It's just how the posit traction
Did
on
you
a
did you see the story on that guy too? he was a locations like assistant. He was there finding locations. He wasn't even an actor. The guy who
Which
plays
guy?
Dawson. Dawson.
Oh,
This was his first movie because Rob Reiner liked him so much that he said, "You need to go be this character."
he was great.
Is wild, man. I mean, you can see it a little bit. He's a little rough around the edges acting wise, but like he plays like the scared, not scared, I guess that's the wrong word, but he plays that sort of awkward um marine, I'm following orders kind of guy really good.
Which one
Like
you going with? Dawson or Downey? The white guy or the black guy?
for what?
I thought you just said Dawson.
Yeah, Dawson's the black guy.
That's the one that
Okay.
wasn't an actor.
He wasn't an actor, no.
Okay.
He was fantastic if he wasn't an actor.
Yeah, he wasn't. He was their locations
Well,
finder.
and
Like,
you
he-
were the reason I questioned it because like you were throwing out awkward, and I thought the white guy Downey was like way more
He-
awkward. So
he
that's
was
why
like-
I thought I didn't know which one you were talking
I
about.
got
if
you.
had
I got
given
you.
away.
No, I feel like Downey was more like country boy, innocent. I'm dumb. I don't know any better, kind of thing.
Right.
But so anyway, yeah, lots of cool stories about this movie. It's one of my favorites, as I've said many times. So I'm glad we watched it. I don't know how you want to do the vote, Tim. I could start if
Well,
you want.
hang on, because it's funny that like you brought it up. You made me go first. So, and I brought up there's one actor
Mhm.
that kind of pulled me out of it now and then, and it was Dawson. So that's
Oh,
funny that you say
that's
that
weird.
because
Interesting.
there a couple scenes I just
He's a little like I said, he's a little rough around the edges on some stuff. I totally agree
Yeah.
with you. Like he kind of like is almost stiff with it,
well, and then I didn't even know if I was gonna talk about it anymore or bring it back up, but you just did that because when Hilty was talking and was talking about, does Demi Moore have to be a woman? And it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna like I know there's several other people of color in the movie. I'm like, I'm gonna trash the only other like a person of color
Hmm.
in a movie that seems like we're already kind of, but and I'm not trashing him. I was just like, that's kind of awesome that he got, his foot in the door because of that, or, he was doing something else and they were like, hey, you're a big guy and you could play this, give it a try. So,
Yeah.
but to me, like out of this huge cast of people who were solid to begin with or people who were up and comers, he was the only one that I was kind of iffy about. Like, because I said top to bottom, the cast was great. And I was like, well, there's one. And so he was the one. That's kind of funny that came full circle.
All right. Well, it looks like Matt has signed off on this conversation, so I will go to you guys and ask you, who do you think picked this movie? And I will start with Aaron, who we know didn't pick it because he's got 2 movies out of the bag. Aaron, who do you think picked this movie?
Oh man. Right when didn't I say Matt to start with? Who did I
I
say?
think so. You
did.
threw Matt out there. Yep. But this is your official pick.
My official pick is going to be Hilty.
Hilty. Interesting. Melo, your thoughts on who picked A Few Good Men?
My official pick is Tim Larson.
Mm-hmm. All right.
A long time ago, probably years now, since we've been doing this. At one point, you talked about how much you like a good courtroom drama. So
Yeah.
there you
I
go.
do.
Inside information.
Very true. Very true. Let's see. Matt, who do you think picked A Few Good Men?
Now is it the case that both of our movies went in the bag so we could have a double, right? Like
There are no doubles. Nikki made sure to eliminate them and
Oh.
asked somebody to put in another movie
Okay.
because of it.
I'm gonna go Brian.
Brian.
Can't remember if he's been picked or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Hilty, your thoughts on who picked A Few Good Men?
Listen, I'm gonna pick Malo for the rest of this tournament just so that somebody's got to get
Yeah.
one of the Malo movies correct at some point.
This has been
So-
some bullshit. That's true. Yeah.
So I'm just gonna pick Malo from this point out. You
I
could write
love
it
what
in.
you're doing.
Told you guys the other one was
Love
me
that.
and nobody picked me.
Okay, you don't have to gloat about it. We're doing the best we can with the information in front. Yeah, actually, that's not a good defense right there. I will say that I believe I want to switch. I want to go to Brian as well. But last week I switched at the last minute and I paid for it. So I'm going to go with my gut and say, Matt Smith, you picked this movie. So, having said that, if the person is here who picked this movie, please raise your hand. You raised a beer, Matt. You raised a beer. Is it
It's
you?
not me. I already got picked.
Son of a
I was
bitch!
the first one.
You can be picked twice though.
Yeah, there's two
That's
movies
the
in
whole.
here. Yeah.
This is what we figured
You
out.
just
Aaron got
said didn't you just say there's no repeats?
He was answering a different question. He was answering, could two people have put in the same movie?
See, that's not what
And
I
I
asked.
knew I needed to clarify that.
I should have clarified. You're right.
Well,
That's not what I
picked you
asked.
anyway.
That's
So
not what I asked. But
either Sneaky Dan Sears, who
I want to
would-
switch to Brian then.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, I think Brian picked this. Damn it. So and he ducked out at the last minute in this conversation, and he claims he has a good reason,
You
but
can Zoom from Indiana.
you can Zoom. Yeah, yeah. He could have been on his phone. He's giggling right now at all of us. That's what's going on. So yeah, we'll assume it was Brian. I don't think it would have been Wilden.
Has
Sneaky
Wilden
Dan
even heard
Sears,
of this
though.
movie?
Well, it's probably not.
Maybe he wanted to watch it.
That's true. That's true. So that'll put a wrap on this movie number 250, our anniversary movie, A Few Good Men. And we have one more pick in this round of who is the one who did it. And so the last movie in this group will be
What did Malo pick?
The Pianist. 2002, The Pianist. I said pianist. It's a 3-syllable word, pianist.
No, I only heard penis. Sorry.
Yep, that's what I thought. So, all right. So, movie number 251 of the BTB Movie Club will be The Pianist, and we'll find out who picked The Pianist, who is the one who wanted to play with the pianist, and who wanted us to all talk about their pianist.
I can't wait to
next
watch
week.
this. Can't wait to watch this on Fossum.
Is that the deal?
It says go to fossum.tv. It's on Fossum.
Is
If you wanna
that
s-
I did.
is that some tech bro? Did you pick who was that too?
Oh, did he say yes?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
can see the
Brian did
picture.
pick it. Brian's the pianist.
Yeah.
So if you want to see your pianist, go to the Fossist and
Fossum, which I was gonna say some
Fossum.
tech bro. I'm gonna start a TV network and I'm gonna call it fucking awesome. And they're like, well, you can't. Well, it's gonna be Fossum then.
That
So
guy
we have
now. That guy is now a millionaire, and this is why there's no fucking justice in the world.
Indeed. We'll have a Fossum pianist next week. Have a good week, everybody.
That'll do it for this episode of the BTB Movie Club podcast. Thank you as always for listening. We know we enjoyed ourselves. We hope you did too. Have yourselves a great week. We are partnered with the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.